Hello.
Hello.
Jackie's here. She's yelling.
Jackie's here. She's yelling.
We're gonna do a dungeon.
We're gonna do a dungeon.
So in real life, what's it called hasn't happened, but in YouTube life, Christmas was yesterday. So this is a little confusing. This is actually, I guess it's technically Christmas Eve right now.
Stream from the future.
And from the past. And I mean the present.
Stream past.
Yes.
Enemies are done.
We just finished watching a movie called Shoplifters. It's a Japanese movie. It's extremely, extremely good. It was recommended to us after we watched... Oh man, I need to change the color balance on this. I look like a fucking ghost. Look at this. Come here. Come look at this. Because I moved the lights. I pointed them because instead of pointing them at me so I was getting the light.
You look pale.
Yeah, I look like... No. It's messing with the green screen. Like I need to have it one even color. It was hitting highlights and there'd be parts that were a different shape.
Smart bulb in it?
This one does, but I can fix it on here. I can fix it here.
No.
Color spill reduction is a big one. Look at that. Look at that. Look at how much I changed it already.
Does it look like I'm eating a hot dog with a flesh?
With the flesh?
Flesh bun.
I mean, a hot dog with the flesh. Excuse me. But anyway, Shoplifters is a very touching and very, very well done sort of tragic class struggle movie. It's not so much a class struggle movie. It's a movie in which the realities of being poor are emphasized, and not really like they're not demonized the way they are in some movies, some morality tales or whatever, but they're also not purely glorified. It's a really balanced and nuanced movie, and it's extremely affecting. Like, just done so crazily well that there are so many times where it's just like, I was just thinking like, man, oh God, I know that this can't just be a situation where everything works out. It's not one of those movies where it's just like pleasant. Oh my God, I'm playing as the wrong character. Well, we'll have to do the pilot after this one. But shit, yeah, I was supposed to be the pilot. Oh fuck. Man, I'm not paying attention to anything. But anyway, it was still an extremely like affecting movie. The reason it was brought up is because we just watched Parasite, which is a Korean movie that's more focused on class distinction. Oh God, woo, that was close. Class distinction and like the differences between the wealthy and the poor, kind of leading to a weird relationship between the two, in which some people are struggling and some people think they're struggling, but they're really just like unaware of their the luxury that is their existence. But both of them were about a lot more than that, and that's what was super cool about them. Like super impressive and well done was the way in which you never feel like it's clear what's happening, or why, or who you should praise and who you should not punish, but like, I don't know, have a little. It's great because there are no heroes and villains. Like it's just this gun's a villain, and like too many movies. And I know I'm saying this and it makes it's high horsing to a ridiculous degree, but like too many movies are still too pale. Too many movies focus on there we go. I think that should be a little better. Making sure that we feel that someone's justified in behavior A or behavior B, and that we as the audience have a clear person to root for, and that we can forgive everyone of, oh my God, of some transgressions or others, and have a very clear target for our ire or hate or revulsion, you know? And a lot of the movies that have been really like sticking with me are ones that you're never sure why you like or dislike anybody. You're sure that you do, but you're never completely certain as to why you hope for this one person to succeed or this person to fail. And I think that, like, I don't know if this is just in my experience, but I think that, like, I'm noticing class struggles being an issue in movies a lot more, as, like, not because well, I mean, I guess kind of, because I feel like there's a major disparity between the wealthy and the struggling right now. Like, things feel rough, especially in the U.S. There's so many, God damn it. There's so many people that, these movies are not set in the U.S., but I think economic realities are true whether they're here or there. But there's so many people, like, barely scraping by, you know, making ends meet, and that's just the extent of what they can do, is just make ends meet, and then they stop there. There's no extra wealth, there's no growing, it's just it's hitting the mark and then being flat at zero at the end of it. And like, I know I talk about, like, socioeconomic issues, maybe too much, but oops, for someone who's not, like, I'm not currently struggling to the degree that I was struggling before, but I remember it, and it was pretty recent, so it's not like, not a distant memory kind of thing. But you know, the socioeconomic issues are big ones. Some people they have been given a blank starting amount of money. They can invest that money and then thrive off of it. And struggle is something that never entered the picture for them. Maybe a struggle to be over a certain amount of wealthy, but never to actually just, like, money begets more money, and it, like, there are instances of people overcoming being poor or whatever, but or, you know, struggling, homelessness, etc. But the situation, it kind of, like, you look at the rampant growth of billionaires. There are more billionaires. I think there are like 6 times more billionaires now than there were in 2014 or something like that. Like, there were like 49 billionaires then, and there's like 280 or something now. Like, those numbers, of course, are like picked completely at random, but it's some huge jump because, like, people having money are going to be people that have more money. It's not just like you have it and then you spend it. It's a commodity that builds itself pretty easily just by giving people money and telling them that they can invest it in ways to make more money. You just have a diverse stock portfolio, and unless the entire thing crashes, like with the housing market or something like that, there's just going to be growth, like endless, unchallenged. Well, I guess it'll be challenged, but, like, there'll be growth until it crashes, and, like, that's the frustrating part of the situation. It has to be something. Even those crashes mostly hurt the people that are already struggling. Like, when the recession hit, billionaires were less of billionaires, but they were still billionaires. When the recession hit me, I could not afford to eat out once a week. Like, I had to buy in bulk and bike everywhere because I couldn't afford gas. Like, that's that's the difference between being like, instead of having $20 billion, you now have 19. There's no, excuse me, God, there's no quality of life difference in those two situations. But there is a huge, huge quality of life going from having $40,000 to having $30,000. Like, it's so different. Or even, you know, I think I was working a job where people just, like, people weren't buying art because the economy was down, you know? It's an investment you don't want to make at that point. And I went from working 5 shifts a week to working 3, to working none, to having to start at a job that was paying less and outside of my field, because some banks had decided to pull bullshit and improperly utilize other people's money. So everything was going down. Gas prices were going up. Food was harder to afford because it's all connected. And billionaires were still riding their yachts, like, as often as before. They just had to fire some more, you know, starving people. Like, I don't know. I think people are now, either because of the internet or because of the outspokenness of certain individuals, there are like subsets of people who are now fully up in arms against class disparity, whereas before it was just kind of understood that that's the reality of the world. People had always been told that it's just like, it's a part of the cost of freedom is having super wealthy people take advantage of the poor forever. And I think people are realizing that it's not the case. We're gonna have our freaking, not revolution, but like maybe something a little bit more, something a little functionally equivalent. I don't think it's going to be a violent overthrow. I think it's going to be a change, a significant and complete change through the hands of people that are fed up. It's weird though. Like, the weirdest thing is that, like, when there are these revolutions and stuff, and people, this is something I like, I've never understood why people don't seem to see. It's never like, it's never the people who are like more conservative who are winning these revolutions, who are on the positive side of history. It's never these people saying like, hey, you know, keep immigrants out and make sure that like poor people are starving for good, and anybody that's different than me is a problem. It's never those people that are like telling the story of overthrowing the oppressor. It's just, it's so obvious to me that like that's not the side you want to be on, the side that hates, the side that bogs down others. Like, maybe short term that probably feels fucking great, the chance to be in the pocket of some billionaire must seem super comfortable. Oh my god, that was such a bad dodge roll. But it's not the winning side in the long run, and it just like, it never has been. We're not telling the story of how the nobility managed to squash the dissidents in 1400s France or whatever. Sweet. It's not the worst shotgun in the game. Just not great. God, I fucking hate the melted rock. I always call it the moon rock. But maybe I'm just looking at the wrong stories. Some could say that the reason I'm not seeing those successes told is because my biases are built off of what I feel. It's still so green. Whatever. I'll fix the lighting in a little bit. It's really green right now. It's like bouncing off my walls here. Maybe I can make a saturation or warmness filter. It's just, I don't know. I guess it always just has always, at least to me, felt obvious that you want to be on the side of the people. Like, those are the ones who are going to endure, even if it means temporarily being behind. Like, you're going to want to be on the sides of, you know, the people who are underrepresented because they are the structure that makes it. And a few oligarchs can't, for long, withhold against the tide of everybody else finding them problematic. It's just like, it can't endure. And that's such a different position to be in. You don't want to be on the side of a handful of people that rely on, you know, carefully tailored relationships and, you know, desperation to keep people leashed because something's gonna break at some point. Dang. I really thought this was the end. Come on. I can't see you guys. Okay, he's coming to me. Maybe I pushed off the other one. Itchy nose, man. But again, I guess if all you read is like Ayn Rand and you just hear constantly that it's like it's the special few on whom the world is built, then you really want to be behind them. You want your Tim Apples and your Donald Trumps and your Googly Dooglies and all those people to be the only people that are succeeding, because without them it'd just be a bunch of janitors running around. It's, I don't know, it's such a, wow, that was loud. What happened? You okay? Maybe. She can't hear me, so I'm guessing she's probably okay. Yeah, I don't know. And again, I'm sure that no one is surprised at my very left-leaning outlook on this. Like, it's not a big shocker that I would rather support the little guy than the big guy. But it's how I feel. And hopefully the little guy will, you know, benefit from my support in some way. God damn. Or if not, they won't need my help. That'd be just as good. And it, you know, I am a very, very little guy, too. So it's much more like, God damn it, that my help is going to be useless. Yes, of course. Dun, 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 dun. But what else is going on? Christmas is technically tomorrow. I have to work in the morning. We're having people over, which I didn't realize until today. But should be fun. Some of Jackie's good friends coming over. Keep it nice and social. Dang, that thing followed me. All right, enough, dude. I'm not using my other guns on this guy. Okay. Probably should. He's got so much health on the second floor. Take that key though. Yeah, we'll be getting the heroin. We'll be getting that here, and we'll be buying a couple keys. We got some stuff to sell, like a good number of stuff to sell. This is gonna hurt me. Not this one. This one's good. We'll sell a melted rock too. I do not like being above, or it's like the worst camera angle. You have a good shower there, Babo. It sucks. Nothing worse than a bad shower. There we go, there we go, there we go, 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 go. That's a fine weapon to take with us. It's fine. I gotta close the door real quick. I'm gonna close the door, okay, baby? I love you. Alright, I paused. I might as well just freaking let's do this. Filters. Add filter. Color correction, there we go. Let's increase the saturation a little bit. Just a little bit. That brightness down just a little bit. Hue shift. No. That's the worst. Oh, saturation up. That looks good. Looks a little more like, I don't know, graphic, like comic booky, but now let's see when it turns blue. When I go back to the screen, how it looks. So it still looks a little blue. It's mostly the light reflecting off my screen. Get over it. Me. I just realized that the blunderbuss is kind of like the shittiest imaginable form of the gorilla gun. Okay. Go ahead and drop this one. Hate it. Hate it. That's a fucking good boss weapon, especially if we get some sort of like double vision or something like that. This is a decent room clear. But we're pretty much just going to use the, pretty much just going to use the heroine and maybe the starter going forward. At least for most of this next floor. I might turn the contrast down a little bit, but we'll do that in a second. Sorry for all the technical work on this one. That list of the number of, I don't remember what the exact numbers are, but seeing that statistic about the increase in the number of billionaires made me really scared of two things. Rampant inflation, which I don't think is responsible for it, and a huge shift in the wealth distribution, which is almost certainly a result of, or almost certainly the reason for the increased numbers. Like, it's just once you have money, you can really find ways to ensure that you have more, and that the little bit that other people have doesn't go as far. It's kind of what the healthcare industry is doing in a very, very direct and obvious way. But those are my two talking points I always got to talk about. Capitalism being a problem and the healthcare industry being a major part of that problem. But anyway, I've been playing a lot of new games recently. I'm not like working on my backlog or anything like that. I'm just trying to be more, what's the word? Like, I'm trying to support developers that I respect, or even like game ideas that I want to see, game making risks that I want to see appreciated or promoted. I'm trying to do the whole thing that everyone says that everyone should do, where you vote with your wallet, and, you know, bought a lot of bad games in the past. Not like a ridiculous number of bad games, but I've bought some bad games before. And I have a bunch of bad games through like Humble Bundle and things like that. But I really want to be better about like any success I'm seeing kind of paid for. We're gonna take this because I want the curse. I don't care about gun forcing. And we're gonna use it for a little bit. Whoops, sorry. Man, if I accidentally shoot in the shop, he might have him flip out. Yeah. You know what I think I like the most about the Casey, and why I think it's an extremely well-designed weapon? One, there's a cost to it. The cost is curse, and just the inability to really deal significant damage at a distance. But two, the fact that it really, really benefits like the informed. That's not what I meant to do. Like the more you know what to expect in a room or whatever, the more easily you can utilize Casey. Like, it's kind of a like knowledge is power kind of weapon. Like, not so obvious like where it gives you a stat boost for being aware of certain things, but like knowing when certain enemies are going to show up really does benefit you. You can kind of plant yourself in the right position and take them out quickly. I mean, that's benefited from That's a benefit in every circumstance in this game. But you know what I'm saying. Like getting the drop on these, having the charge ready, basically pulling the trigger the second the bad guy shows up. That was a great FOK. Man, I'm getting tired of getting this gun. I'm getting really, really tired of getting the chamber gun. Like, just ridiculously tired of it. I know, stop playing the same game so many times if you want to see something different. I told you, I'm playing other games. Played through Sayonara Wild Hearts. On the last stream I did, I played through the full album. I still need to go back and get a gold on each of the regular levels to unlock whatever the new kind of like challenge mode is. I've also been playing through, well, this is not an indie game, I got this free from Humble Bundle, but I'm playing Soul Calibur 6 a little bit. Pretty fun, I got problems with it. Man, I fucking hate. Makes me mad. I need to turn this contrast down a little bit. I went a little overboard with the contrast. I just got to do it. It's so good when it's red, though.
Did you see this? This crazy little girl.
Yeah, that's like a super old one. It's cute though.
Yep.
There's a cool there's this guy who combined GIFs with webcomics. He makes a webcomic around the story of the GIFs. And there's a good one with that one in there. She's like going crazy, and people have done like where they animate her basically becoming like a Super Saiyan from the power of that sugar. What's this synergy? Ruby Carbine. Sweet, that's actually a good one. Well, I guess that's the floor. Back to 0 keys. I don't know where the other secret room is, but it's probably up here, actually. Nope, definitely not there. Here? No? Yeah, I don't know. I just like, I'm really, really happy that companies are able to make, hey, it's Antron, what's up? Happy Christmas Eve, and also for the video, happy day after Christmas. How you doing? You old so plus so. Oops. What have you been up to today? Oh man, that was dumb. Did you go see the new Star Wars movie? I know how much you love stars. And wars. Don't forget about the wars. Ooh. Oh, when that guy dead. Dumpster fire of a campaign King's Night campaign was. What was wrong with it? I thought Shovel Knight was like a perfect game that you weren't allowed to say anything bad about. I thought it was one of those like sacred cows. Oh. You know what's funny is I actually heard a lot of people say they liked that it offered something totally different. But I guess that's probably not what you're looking for. Singularity. Ooh-wee. That'd be real good to have. Well, the cool thing about some additional content like that is you still got the old. You don't lose that when the new thing comes out. So you still have the full great experience. And you can go back to that at any time, which is what you're doing. Huh. I might actually need ammo soon for my boss weapon. And I'm starting to think about it. See, I didn't really super get into Shovel Knight because I started to get to the point where it became more like open-ended, like picking out your magic and doing all this stuff that I would have really been about if I wasn't... I think I picked up Shovel Knight for a quick jump in, do a level, go to the next level. Like I think, and this is just me, this is why I'm not saying that it's a fault of the game. I went into it wanting a very straightforward experience, you know? I wanted one level followed by the next, and I'm glad that they added more complexity because for literally everybody else in the world, I would have, I think they'd be much happier having more to do as opposed to wanting less. But, you know, I'm glad that the game actually does have that instead of... and I'm sure if I just gave it like 2 seconds of thought, I could play through the game and have a great time. But sometimes it's not what you're looking for. At no fault to the game itself. That was terrible. It was terrible and stupid. Yeah, I'll get out of here. Oh yeah. Frustrating, like not interesting. It's poorly done. And I really want. I like really want the suck, the big suck. And I don't think it's really... yeah. They played up the boss for his weakness. That seems kind of shitty. Alright, so... we are going to get this. We're not going to be able to open both of these boxes, unless one of them's a mimic. Cool. I love getting an active item 1 second after getting an active item. I said it seems like they built the boss mechanics around his greatest weaknesses instead of building a fun boss and then having the challenge be in the game design itself. It's time for some fucking ammo to start dropping, man. Do do do. Do 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 do. Yeah, sometimes what a game will do, and it's really frustrating, is give you some limitation and then design all of the, or even some of the bosses to exploit that limitation. And it really feels shitty. It feels like instead of them making a fun challenge and then saying, like, you know, isn't it cool that this interacts with character issue A, it's built all around it, like knowing that there's this issue and forcing you to overcome it, which is not in any way, like, it doesn't feel good. Yeah, that'd probably help a big deal. But is this supposed to be like a you've already done everything in the game style challenge mode? Or is it just... Because, like, I know that Hollow Knight has those, like, crazy, semi-unbearable challenge modes that are really only there for people who want the worst things in the game to do because they've done everything else. God damn it, what a bad dodge. Huh. If I dodge roll once I've gotten the boost from the thing, do I keep the boost? Since I have the rolling reload? I bet I do. I bet I get the extra damage forever. Like, if I just kept using this. No, I didn't mean that particular boss. I meant the whole King's Knight campaign. Like, did they add the whole thing to be a challenge mode? Where's the other guy? Oh, is there no other guy yet? Oh, thought there was. Whoa, come on. You guys need to cut this shit. Just fucking get sucked up, please. Where is this guy? Why is he unkillable? Jesus Christ. Kill pillars, so we need to get a charge on our thing, and then the kill pillars will be pretty easy. I fucking hate this game sometimes. I hate how I get in a perfect spot to get active items. I go the whole run with like kind of dog shit actives, and then they all start falling out of the sky. It's like keys in the last run. As soon as I got the ability to unlock every chest. I think that was the last run. This rolling reload thing with this is actually pretty fucking killer. It's got that like super easy reload synergy. I knew one of them was gonna have a freaking thing on it. There we go. Wow, that was a good shot. Wow. Do you think they were like side projects for other people to get a taste of character or level design? Because sometimes they'll do that. DLC will be someone's passion project that didn't really fit into the game or work as well. And so it kind of feels like you get something that was definitely made by the core team, and then something that was kind of made by trainees, is maybe a way to say it. Or people trying to, you know, more or less get their foot in the door. It's like a chance for the young bloods to let their voice be heard, and sometimes it's the only chance, because seniority is such a big part of a lot of these companies. Oh, that's a perfect Tempest, and a good shotgun. It seems like Pokemon, I know you're not a big Pokemon person, Nanron, but I've been watching some of these reviews that have just come out of Pokemon Sword and Shield, and it seems like a lot of people seem to feel like they put their the younger members of the staff on it. Like, they let at least some of the areas, like, it seems so gravely inconsistent to a lot of people that it seems like some of the areas were definitely the work of a newer, less talented team. God, I fucking hate the Devolver bullets, man. Just yeah, I've been watching like the Completionist did his review, and he gushed over it, but the Completionist is he seems to only focus on the completionist aspect of it. Like, oh, I like having a smaller number of Pokemon because it means I don't have, 500 hours of gameplay to get through. And it's like, that's not what you should be judging the game on. You should be judging on, it's like genuine merits. Like, does it feel like they actually improved from the last games in the series, etc. I mean, his was overall very like glowing and positive. Which makes me believe that he genuinely does feel that the game is an improvement overall. But a lot of people, like Arlo's, Arlo, his review was damning as hell. He hated it. He still gave it a 4, which is crazy to me because he shit all over that game in a very fair way. Like, I mean, I think sometimes it's worth it to just be disappointed, to have someone that's usually such a positive, especially positive pro-Nintendo voice, be so disappointed in the sloppiness, the shoddiness of a property. the Pokemon Company, Game Freak, all of them, Nintendo, they make too much money off of Pokemon to be shoveling garbage down people's throats and saying, like, this is what you get. There's two schools of thought about a lot of these games. There's like one thing. So 2017 was an absolutely incredible year for Nintendo because they were in the doghouse, and because of that, they made some of the best games that they've made in years. I know that people have like problems with certain aspects of Breath of the Wild and Mario Odyssey and things like that, but they were shoveling they were shoveling gold constantly. Yeah. And then Nintendo just said, "All right, we got to fill up the Switch's roster. Let's put a bunch of remakes, let's put a bunch of ports." And it got a little dead for a while. They focused on the indie aspect to get people, you know, having something to play. And then they said, all right, let's bring out the big guns. Let's bring out the games that are going to sell regardless of quality. We'll make one extremely, you know, time-intensive, money-intensive game. Oh, man. With Super Smash Brothers Ultimate. And then we'll dump out something that's going to profit for us. We're going to put out the next Pokemon game, and who gives a shit if it's good? I think some of the cinematic aspect, like that's one of the things I actually love about these particular reviews that I've watched on it, is how differently people approached it. Arlo was talking about the number of times where a story beat was just kind of quickly covered over off screen, and that never. It seems like the style had its effect on Gerard, the completionist. Like the big booming introduction to like the new characters, the crowds in the gym battles and things like that. That had like a huge impact on the completionist, whereas it just seemed like flash in the pan, kind of like a light show to Arlo, when the stuff that we really wanted to see was nowhere to be seen. You know, the major events of the story were just a text box, someone saying, "Did you see that crazy thing?" And you having to accept that something crazy happened, when this is a game that is from the richest company in the history of media. Shouldn't be able to get away with that. But it is really neat to see how differently it's being handled. I actually really like that there's such a disparity in it right now. Oh yeah, I don't think they even rescheduled around the anime. I think they rescheduled around quarters, around fiscal year. They needed to get another game out because, one, I don't think Nintendo thinks they don't have the same kind of faith in the Fire Emblem series, with good reason. Fire Emblem doesn't pull the same kind of numbers that Pokemon does. But they still do have stockholders, so they have to put out, you know, 3 things a year that are going to have incredible revenue streams. Oh my god, I went the Hyper Light Blaster, and I'm probably going to get it. What? Did I just get hit? Excuse me? I don't know, man. There was part of me that was like, man, I kind of want to play this new Pokemon game so I can put my own 2 cents in on the subject, but like, again, I'm more about right now voting with my wallet than I don't have like an audience where I can say, hey, this thing is problematic. So the only vote I can make is not giving them 60 more bucks. Dude, it's not just a drop in quality with Pokemon. It's that it means that like if they have a bunch of great ideas, they can only put say they have 10 great ideas, like for ways to improve on the series. They are encouraged, almost guaranteed they are encouraged to put half or probably a tenth of those into each game. They put one idea or two in, and then they let people like have the same experience, so that the only time you can really see, oh man, you can really see the change between the games is if they release a leaf green version or an updated graphics version where you can put Gen 1 beside Gen 1 or something like that. Yeah, they are like heavily encouraged to not change it too much, not just for fear of isolating the people who've been playing it all along, but so that they can install it in the next version. And that's when stuff gets shitty to me, in my opinion. Like when they're withholding for the sake of their bottom line. And I just don't want to support it. Put a bunch of ideas into a game, and then if you can't come up with any for the next thing, maybe it's time to put some time between your games so that you don't have to come up with stuff every year that changes the formula, you know? I swear people, they wouldn't make as much money, which is why they're not doing it, but people would love an incredibly new, all well-designed Pokemon game once every 5 years or every 3 years or whatever, a lot more than they currently love the poorly designed, pretty sloppily put together, rushed Pokemon that we're getting every year or year and a half. We'll get this, definitely. This. We might be able to get an amulet. Oh, it's right there. Weird. It's weird to see. We could use the Gun. I think if you're going to make a sequel, and one of the design elements of making that sequel is saving some things for the game that follows that sequel, you've already kind of lost me as a supporter. Like, once you're withholding for the benefit of your fucking bottom line, I'm like no longer interested in what you're putting out. Excuse me? Forgot using an explosive gun is gonna ruin some of the stuff on this one. I should just burn through this one because I'm not gonna use it after this. No. That's why I said if your reasoning is X. Like, if you didn't put something in the game because you didn't want to put an incomplete idea into a game and you're saving it for the next one, that's understandable, and that's great. But if you're holding it out because it's such a good idea that you want to save it for next year's, next fiscal year or whatever, then you're a fucking... Then you're just greedy. You're greedy for the sake of yourself and not for the sake of your audience, which, like, if you're making properties like this, every decision should be audience-based and not shareholder-based. Like, and I know that that's impossible, and I know that that's never going to be the case, but we're talking about ideal world stuff here, not real world. Capitalism is always going to... It's only going to allow innovation to happen at the speed of it being beneficial to shareholders. You're never going to outpace the value argument. Like, people think that capitalism is the springboard for innovation, and it is. It's why we have so many of the technologies that we have right now. But it's always you only innovate at a rate in which your financial growth can keep pace. If you have a big innovation, a big chunk of innovation, and then you have nothing, you don't have a constant revenue stream. So there's no reason for people to keep supporting it. You have to drip drip release that stuff. Like, something just happened with Tesla. It's not going to affect me, but I still think it's really shitty. Tesla is adding a subscription service to people who didn't get the long-range all-wheel drive version of the Model 3s, where they will now have I think it's just $10 a month thing to access features like the higher quality maps, the streaming services like Netflix. It's basically Xbox Live for your car. You can use all of the enhanced features for a fee when they were included initially. Even though if you look at the language, it does say in the contract that those things go away after a year anyway. Some people who didn't have access to those features are now going to, but other people who already had access are losing it without paying, which they didn't really... The Model 3 hasn't been out for long enough for people to have to deal with those things being recurring. And so, from a business point of view, having any endless revenue stream is positive, you know? Having any source of continual income, even if it's only $10 a month from some owners, is still what you want to shoot for. Because the way that Tesla's been making most of its money, it's been, they release a new car, there's a huge feeding frenzy. They make a bunch of money, and then in between car releases, there's like a lull. And they're not going to release, their point is not to release, they're not like a regular car company that's going to release a new model every year, and those things are going to be so different that you need to update, or they have a yearly kind of like sawtooth pattern. Nintendo's online is fucking garbage. I supported it, and I was wrong. Nintendo,'s $20 a year is like, it's really nothing. It's not a lot of money for anyone, but that is one indie game for some people. That's one whatever. And what we've gotten for it is not been worth even that meager asking fee. Like, yeah, everybody wants to have what they, these continual like service models, like these games as service or connectivity as service, these constant revenue streams, and it fucking sucks. Like, it really sucks for the consumer. That everything is... It's like Apple Music. It's like instead of buying albums and them needing to wait for people to release new albums for their music platform to make money, they just said, well, why don't we just have people subscribe to us and pay forever? Damn, that was a bad fucking dodge. Or, you know, Amazon Music, which we got out of that so quick after we realized how shitty it was going to be. Video streaming has everybody over the freaking barrel right now, though. Including me and Jackie. We got like basically four video streaming services we're paying for. Disney, Hulu. Well, I guess that's kind of one. Disney, Hulu. Netflix. And then Amazon Prime, which is something we have for other reasons, but we're still paying for. What was I using? I need to still work on this. I need to use this exclusively. But yeah, as a consumer, I fucking hate products as service. I fucking hate it. And everyone should feel the same way. But convenience, man. Convenience is the father of invention. Convenience or laziness, I don't know what's a better way to phrase it, but necessity's the mother, and freaking convenience and the ability to not think about something is the father. Oh, fuck, you've got to be kidding me with that. Yeah. It's like such... I mean, we as consumers are dumb. We're incentivizing this kind of dog shit behavior from the companies. Like... It's our fault. By constantly saying, like, oh man, Netflix, that revolutionized movie watching. That revolutionized TV, yada yada yada. We're like saying, like, everybody please fucking do this. If you want my money, please do what Netflix did. And we're stupid for doing so. Ooh boy, I almost hit the button. Yeah, that's a boink situation. So yeah, we're dumb. I mean, capitalism, it needs a sucker, and we are the perpetual suckers. I was not ready to dodge that properly. That was a really good, really clean Lich fight. It didn't feel like I was super overpowered. Yeah, I mean, everybody's digging a hole that pretty soon everybody else falls into. And everybody that supports it is responsible for it. But it's at such a tipping point that the few people that resist against it can't stem the tide pack. There's no way for 1% of the world population to convince Netflix or all these companies to stop making these things if if there's literally 40% of the rest of the population of the world giving them money? That 1% doesn't fucking matter. Like, that's why I can almost guarantee within the next 2 years, Netflix is going to have ads on it, Disney Plus is going to have ads on it, and the prices are going to go up on all of them because people are then going to be trapped. Netflix is gaining nothing by being the only standout, not having ads. I think Disney Plus doesn't currently, but it's fucking Disney. They're gonna 80% of the top box office movies of the year were Disney movies. 80% were published by one company. They're not gonna let a dollar roll out of their sight.